Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Shantae, Risky's Revenge Director's Cut. This is the sequel to a Game Boy game called just Shantae. They never made a PC port or a remaster of the original game, which, being a Game Boy game, I imagine it isn't actually that long or complicated enough that you could make a full remake and it sell particularly well. But it is kind of stinky that you end up, if you want to play the Shantae series on PC, you end up having to skip to the second game, which was, I believe, a Game Boy Advance game. And the Shantae series has since pretty much abandoned being on Nintendo portable consoles as their prime platform and moved into much more modernized graphics and bigger gameplay, I would suspect also. And they are up to the fourth game. The Shantae series doesn't have numbers in the name, unfortunately, so it is very difficult to realize the order if you're not paying attention, because there's Shantae, which is the first game, Risky's Revenge, which is the second game. Then there is a third game, which I believe is called Half-Genie Hero, because Shantae on the left there is half-genie. And then there is Shantae versus the Seven Sirens, which is the fourth game in the series. This is made by WayForward. It feels like, without having played any of the games, that it is very close to what you would expect a Mario game would be in modern times, or it could be at least in modern times, compared to where Mario 64 shifted the Mario games into the 3D platforming realm with their own unique concepts. And yeah, this game just did jump out to this point, so I'm gonna start hitting buttons on my controller, and hopefully the controller would work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Ever since I ran Risky Boots out of town, every monster in Sequin Land wants a battle. Well, holding back now won't help any. Gotta have the harem till it hurts. Gonna have to hair him till it hurts. And I guess that might be a pun for the word harem, but also she attacks with her long ponytail. I will also say, you can definitely tell that as a genie, she is going for the kind of that belly dancing outfit, which might be a little bit weird. So, just throws you into the game without telling you any of the controls, so you can kind of see how this is. Now, I recently played a game called Camera Obscura that was a platforming game, and the controls were just awful. And so I can say this is the X button that I'm swinging here to attack with my hair. A is to jump, X, B and Y, not doing anything at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm about to get overrun on purpose. Nope. We got an achievement. Yeah, I've still got the moves. So I guess maybe it would have thrown out a tutorial at that point. I just got an achievement. It probably would have thrown out a tutorial if you just didn't know the buttons. Yeah, so it seems A and X works on an Xbox One controller, B and Y don't seem to do anything. So, well, no, B moves the story forward, oddly. And I definitely know the later Shantae games do expand quite a bit. And perhaps this might fall closer to what a combination of the original Zelda game would be. Well, interesting. Didn't fall to my death. And you can swim, but you seem to have no diving ability. And they're not trying to mess you up by having you do something different. Let's break this egg. Why seems to be like a belly dancing move. Interesting. And see, the problem is I rage quit on the Camera Obscura game because the controls were bad and because the graphics were bad. Even saying that, even knowing these graphics aren't anywhere as good as the more recent Shantae games, this still seems like it's reasonable. There might be a level of like options. Here, let's see how this is gonna work. Back button brings up the menu, and yet B button. Let's go ahead and see. Right now it's at 1280 by 720, but so you can see the whole screen here is in full screen. Interesting. Stretch original full. Control configuration. So I wonder if the screen is actually gonna change here in a second. These controls feel weird. Like, I do want this at 1080p. So let's come over here and hit B and B and reload the whole game. Interesting. None of this was here first, so I don't know what they did to why it threw me into a file selection menu. I think these buttons do need to change though, because like the A button is in the wrong place, which this might be exactly where a Game Boy button layout is. Let's see. So confirm and talk is A when it should be B, and cancel is, well, no, confirm and talk is B when it should be A, and then cancel should be B in my mind as far as controller setup. So let's see. Oh man, this is a nightmare. Let's just use the mouse. Press a button, A, and then B, and swap. If that's going to be the case, then should we swap X and Y? Because now jump should still, I think, be A, but it can't be, so it's got to be B. Wait a minute, there's a trick here, clearly. You could like right trigger to jump, but I don't think you'd want that. Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna just have to live with the default things. You can definitely see how the graphics here though are way better. Alright, well, let's move the mouse cursor out of the way. And let's start again. Like, I'm not sure why the game jumped to this point. I must have just hit a button. Alright, so and I guess the general idea is that if you died here, they would have given you some tutorial, which that's not a terrible thought, certainly. It does help you just let you jump into the game if you know what you're doing. Alright, so apologies for that weird setup. And it still does feel like we are at 1080, not at 1080p resolution, but I imagine in this case for the moment it is just going to be a 1080p with black bars on the sides, and then the game will eventually improve. I'm noticing that it does seem like the birds don't fly as much as they should. Now I'm pressing up on this. You can also use the D-pad. I'm trying to see if there might be a way to go inside the place, but apparently not. So let's just talk to this guy. Hi, Shantae. Shantae is, I assume, just kind of a made-up name or a Middle Eastern name. It definitely does strike me as kind of unique. I'm off to see your uncle's show. Want to go with? Huh? The Relic Hunter Expo is today? You can definitely see how Shantae is more clothed than the guy is. Or less clothed than the guy is. Yeah. Sky and Wrench flew in this morning just to see it. We don't know who these characters are. Oh my gosh. Sky's egg. I left it sunning in the bay. Don't move a muscle. Well, we already collected an egg. Got the egg. Let's go. Phew. It smells like grandma. I'm sure that's normal. You're the worst egg sitter ever. Don't blame me when Sky finds out. Sky's probably a bird. The Relic Hunters are known worldwide for their unusual discoveries. I hope to see something truly amazing today. You've got little birds. There's way more life in these first two scenes than all of Camera Obscura that I played. Oh boy. Today's the Relic Hunter Expo. Fussy old explorers always find the weirdest stuff from the old world. I always pre-register. All these boats come in. Scuttle Town ain't got room to dock them all. So yeah, this feels like half like the the Aladdin games from the NES era, and half like the scenes from the Legend of Zelda, the Adventure of Link, the sequel, which went very different directions than the first Adventure of the Legend of Zelda game. Everybody seems to bounce a little bit, although I would say Shantae is just always got the music in her soul and is always dancing. Hey Shantae, what's it gonna take to get you back on stage? Quit being so shy. So apparently in this world, she's described as being shy. Interesting. And grasping the white crystal firmly in hand, I ducked for several seconds at what appeared to be a common cliff face until blah blah blah. So apparently that's a secret thing. And here we have another girl in less than standard clothing for the West. But I imagine the world they live in is probably a hot Middle Eastern world where the less clothing, the cooler. Psst. You're late. It's your sworn duty to protect this town against the criminal element. Aren't you a grump? I'm guessing training week was a bust. Total disaster. My warbird hatchlings literally flew the coop. And besides, Wrench here. Speaking of which, do you have my egg? Yes, no. Let's go with yes. Even the yes and no are backwards. More in line with the Japanese style of the A button being on the right. Whereas the Western style is the A button is on the left. Because Japanese people read from right to left. Western English readers read left to right. There's my boy. But most controllers these days automatically detect and put the layout of the buttons correctly. It does become a problem when you try to run an emulator and play an old game though, particularly an old NES or Game Boy game. Punch Out for NES is a great example of that. If you don't have the buttons set right, you'll hit the button on the left and swing a punch from the right and vice versa. So did you take good care of them? Spoil them rotten. You better have. Oops. It's time. And with my emptied barrels replacing the treasure, I was able to outwit the pressure trap and make my escape. Gross. Citizens of Scuttletown, may I present you this year's object of mystery. Ooh, murmur. Incredible, man. Huge bowels. Such bravery. As usual, we'll kick off the festivals by cracking open a fossilized treasure and offering the contents up for auction. It would be nice in the director's cut if this had voice acting, or at least asymilish type sound effects, where the characters would sound like they were talking, but not make any actual speech. That way you wouldn't have to localize it to different languages. But certainly for a Game Boy Advance game, the amount of space that games like this really took up were incredibly small by modern standards, and like the idea of voice acting or 3D graphics or video is just not reasonable. This year's mystery object appears to be encased in solid stone but feels quite hollow. Shall I smash it open? Yay, do it. Clap, clap, clap. There were some Game Boy Advanced like cartridges that had, I think, just awful, terrible video compression, and they were just video files, and they could get almost an hour and a half of footage on them. But that's like the maximum you could do with no gameplay elements otherwise. Didn't let the festival begin. I wouldn't be surprised if the first game started this way too. Ooh, what is that? You would think a half-genie would know what a magic lamp looks like, but maybe she doesn't. Like, it's an interesting thought of how do you get a half-genie in the first place, because there's never been much lore around genies in the Western world being able to have children. It looks like an oil lamp. Ladies and gentlemen, my mistake. I seem to have brought the wrong item. That is... It's okay, Uncle, show us. Crowd, show us, yay! No, it's not important. Let's move on to the next event. Please turn your attention to, So, and here we have Risky, or Risky Boots, I think might be her full name. And she is a pirate, and the general antagonist, if not always the bad guy, to Shantae. Man, there is a lot of cleavage here. So, you definitely see Way Forward is going a different direction with this. While it may feel like a kid's game, I think you might run into some problems with parents looking over and going, hey man, there's a lot of cleavage being accentuated here with each of the female characters. And if we're going to look in kind of more of a feminist egalitarian perspective, there's a lot of guys here that are just fully clothed. So if the guys were walking around shirtless and the girls were walking around in bikini tops, it would be a little bit more balanced. Ho ho ho, no need for alarm, I'm just dropping by for this. Risky Boots. In the flesh. Your splunking uncle is always dredging up new collectibles. But this one, well, this takes the cake, doesn't it? I wonder if it is the lamp that is connected to Shantae, and Shantae is like magically forced to be within like 100 yards of the lamp. It's just a worthless lamp. Put it back before there's trouble. See, and you know Way Forward is spending big budget here when you see Risky Boots being animated from a different angle. Almost any game that has these kind of visual novel zoom-ins on the characters, usually they're not this zoomed in or this well animated, but to have a different angle means they put a lot of love and effort to draw different different edges of the picture, and to draw more versions and variants of the characters. You have no idea what the trouble that's in store. Heave ho, men. Hoist my booty through the roof and put your backs into it. There is also a worthwhile argument to say that we have some very large anatomical shifts in these characters too. They look like they could potentially be G cups, and then very small waists, and then very large hips. What they call bon cubon, I believe, in Japanese. But this isn't a Japanese game per se, or a company. I'm fairly certain Way Forward is more of a Western company, just kind of inspired by some of those ideas. Sky Bolo, one of you catch her before she reaches the dock. I guess the guy's name is Bolo. No way, I can handle this. So, kind of a slow setup with the tutorial mode. We're probably about 12 minutes into the game, and I imagine when we actually get into the game we'll have a lot less dialogue and a lot more just platforming and collecting and puzzling, and a slightly Metroidvania-esque platforming type game. No sign of Risky Boots or a pirate ship. If I've lost her, I'll never live it down. Yo ho, Genie Girl, looking for me? Risky. I'll give you one less chance to hand over that lamp. If not, things are gonna get ugly. Foo foo foo. They're going to get ugly, alright. Let's see how you handled my brand new steam-powered oceanic tinker tub. So, lock and load, men. Now, there might be some problems with having black-skinned characters these days, even if they're fantasy characters now. A lot of games are going back and saying, no, that's not acceptable. You can't have a black character that's actually colored black regardless of how non-human they are. It's time for Risky's revenge, so let's attack aggressively. Ho ho ho. So, we've got a whole boss fight going on here. And it seems like one can't just hit it. We have to blow it up. We have a magic gauge, we know that much. And then we're into a second phase. And she was knocked over. I don't know if there was a secondary thing I needed to do there. Or if we're taking out the character. Or what? Nope, you guess are just supposed to hit this 3 times. It's funny to see Risky Boots just hanging over the side like that, like she's knocked out. And standard Nintendo 3 hits and you're done with the boss. That's fine. Not bad. You've learned a thing or two since our last duel, but no matter. With this lamp, I finally got the means to crush Sequin Land once and for all. Till then, play with this. And so she gets knocked, and I couldn't avoid that. Shantae, wake up. Are you alright? Moan, she got away. They should put the sound effects in parentheses. Remain still. Leave the situation to Sky and Bolo. But... well, this is a fine how to do. How do you do? Lying down on the job while that pirate runs pell-mell I don't know what pell-mell means, all over my town. Ever since this pirate thing started, Scuttletown's been going to the dogs. Mayor, Scuttlebutt. Please understand, she's done everything possible. Pewee with half-genies. For a whole town, we need a complete protection. Pack up your things and clear out. You're fired. What? You can't mean it. I do. That's my final word on the matter. Now get going. I'm a busy man. So she gets fired as the town genie protector. Well, he was in rare form, but he'll change his mind once I get the lamp back. No, I forbid you to go. Now you're acting weirder than the mayor. What is it about this lamp that's got you so worked up? I can't tell you. What? Why not? I promised your mother never to speak of it. So, is he the uncle? Or is he the father? Because I thought he was the uncle. So he just kind of knows the mother. So the father might be trapped in a lamp. Lamp caused a lot of suffering back in her day. Trust me, it's trouble. And better left forgotten. You can at least tell me why Risky would steal it. Is it dangerous? No, not anymore. The genies banished its magic long ago. They divided its power into 3 magic seals and hid them away forever, so we know what we're going to do. Even if that dark power was restored somehow, few remember how to use it, and I intend to carry that secret to my grave. But Uncle, Risky must know more than you think, otherwise she wouldn't have stolen it in the first place. Besides, it's true, the potential for evil is too great. We have no choice. We must find all 3 magic seals before Risky Boots does. It will be difficult and very dangerous, and afterwards we must never speak of this again. Do you think you're up to the challenge? If it means saving the town from evil, you bet. I'll find those 3 magic seals and put an end to Risky's evil scheme once and for all. So yeah, it does strike me as a fairly simplistic game. Same line of dialogue, second time there. So we're probably not gonna do anything that's like too extremely long as far as gameplay. I'm gonna kind of skip reading some of this. We have to find save guy to save, which that's very old school. See these arrow things on the ground? Folks call them jump pads. Jump off one to launch forward and back. Take you straight to the town gate. Alright. Make sure to stop by the shop for some magic before you go. I suggest the Storm Puff. It's the most powerful weapon to start with, even if it's tricky to use. We can go in here. We can talk to Bolo. Try visiting your pal Roddy Tops. You can find her in Zombie Wagon by heading east from the town gate. It's a straight shot right through the field and forest. Hmm. And I don't know, until I get like a double jump, I don't think I'll be able to get to that character. Is this save guy? Have you seen the other fishermen in this town? Talk about fat. He looks exactly the same. Blarg, no smash me. Okay. Well. He doesn't want to be smashed. Well, I don't have a smash ability. All I have is the belly dancing ability, which does seem to have perhaps an entrancing effect on everyone around, because everybody around me has stopped moving. So it's kind of like a pause time ability. Yeah, it just freezes time. Even the birds in the middle of the air. Well, that's something. But I guess we have to do this to jump forward. It seems like we're gonna be seeing repeated characters quite a lot. You've been skipping your belly dances classes. No wonder you can't remember any transformation dances. If you feel rusty, hold the dance button to do a practice dance. Interesting. So there's a whole society here around the idea of performing magical dances that as probably maybe a lot of these people in the city are half genies. I'm famous for my magic jam. It spreads like a dream and tastes like a blot of heaven. Too bad monsters hijacked my latest batch. If you find a magic jam, don't give it away. Trade it for something valuable. And here you have a very fat lady. There's all kinds of platforming and stuff you can do in the city. Don't leave town without a Sequin Land map. It shows all the save rooms and such. You can get one at the shop for super cheap. We do have gold. I heard zombies park their wagon in the Tangle Forest. Jinka, just think about it. Gives me goosebumps all over. Man, I can't read. Right here and here and here. She's pointing out all over her goosebumps. Alright, well. And I love to run. I could always walk, but then I'd have to hold down the attack button all the time. So she's running by default, and if you want to walk, you have to hold down the attack button. Interesting. Let's see what's in here. Would you like to save a record of your journey? Sure. Save complete. So there is a whole thing here of getting around the city. And we'll have to get a feeling about whether these rooms have more to the right of them or not. Let's see. When you're not sure what to do next, come to talk to me, Bolo, or Uncle Mimic. You can find all three of us here in Scuttle Town. From now on, don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay. It does kind of put you in this weird position where you just kind of don't know how do I get down from here? Let's see. So that was nothing. Yeah, you just kind of don't know how much game is gonna really be here, because you're spending so much time in the start here. Welcome to the item shop. Alright. Potions, magic vials, fireball, a map. We'll buy a map. Attract magic fill. Let's see what some of these do. Use fireballs to barbecue your enemies. Spin a deadly pike ball around your bad self. for 50, can't afford that. Storm Puff, an unwieldy cloud with an electric personality. Attracts dropped items like a magnet. Your magic meter refills automatically. Ooh. Repairs split ends for faster whipping. So these look like permanent upgrades, whereas I imagine the potions and things are not so much. And how do you get to the map? You go with the start button, and then you have to use the B button. So the map does seem to fairly easily show a whole bunch of stuff in this main world, which is, I guess, a level in itself. Don't leave town without buying magic from the shop. I'd start with Fireball magic for you. It's perfect for long range attacks. Could I afford Fireball? Because I haven't run into any other enemies, and I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, so I need to find 10 more gold somewhere before I leave. See, don't leave town without buying magic from the shop. I suggest buying a pike ball. It's a perfectly orbital defense weapon. What's this shop? Welcome to the import room. We used to carry all treats from lands far beyond, but since the pirates showed up, our shipments have stopped completely. If only I could do something about it. So there's nothing at that shop, but we'll be coming back to this area. You've got to accessorize. Get that some silky cream for your hair. It gives your hair full body and repair split ends. Yeah, it definitely does feel like there's just a kind of different kind of experience you're gonna have in a game like this that seems like it is for at most 16-17 year olds, that you're alright with them being in belly dancing cartoons and belly dancing outfits, whereas I feel like if you were gonna play an equivalent Mario game, you probably would have tried to make it a little child friendlier, and tried to target this towards more of an 8-year-old type game. It definitely feels like a game that a 10-year-old, 8-year-old could play. Monsters still roam the outskirts of town. Be careful out there. I think that probably does go somewhere. Keep a sharp eye on your heart meter. And save after you've done anything important. Left of the town is Pumpkin Field, off to the right is Lilac Field. Try not to get lost. And yeah, as it seems, there seems to be like 2 different things you have to do in both directions. But I seriously doubt this is all of the game. If it is, then this is a fairly short game. Like that they would have to attack me fairly strongly. And the transformation dances, I do know that in some of the games she can transform into other things. There's a whole secondary series of games that are very similar to this by a different company called like Monster Boy, I believe is the name of the series. And he transforms into other things too. Man, these guys just respawn. So I'm not sure it's really worth your time to grind out on this stuff. Let's see what it says. Greetings, stranger. I'm what they call a warp pedestal. My job is to zap folks from place to place. I'd like to help you out, but until my warp brothers wake up, I can do squat. Okay. You can crawl. So let's crawl in here and see what we find. Magic. More magic. But I don't think I can do anything because I need some ability to smash things. And I don't have a smash attack yet. Which might mean I'm going the wrong direction. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. But it could also just be decent design where you are getting teased by things you can't quite do yet. But compared to Camera Obscura, even though this game does feel like a Game Boy Advance game, for sure, it is an actual game. The jumps actually seem doable, the enemy amount and the life of the enemies are reasonable. You're getting actual story. It feels like it's really polished. But it also puts me kind of in an interesting position because, like, I doubt Sequin Land is the entire map. It says Sequin Land World Map, and this feels like almost a DS screen map that would be on the lower screen. But I don't see a button here that is letting me swap to the world map. But I can't think that the whole game is only two or 3 hours long also. So I'm not sure if I want to go for 15 more minutes or if I want to just kind of end here. These guys don't even seem like they really put up much of an attack. Thought I was going to potentially fall down. Yeah, and there's definitely, I think, a lot of things that can be done later on. And let's open that. Apparently I can't. There's no way to unlock this door. So we need keys. Later on. Like, even when she's like crawling out of the sections, she gives off it's animated in such a way that it feels like they're intentionally highlighting her booty, for lack of a better term. And I don't want to come off saying like I hate that. I just think that you wouldn't expect that for this type of game. It kind of has a much gentler, more thought out, like Leisure Suit Larry kind of feel to it, where I would argue the Leisure Suit Larry games went far too hardcore in their decisions and in how raunchy those games got, where this seems to just be more around the idea of, hey, let's titillate and tantalize with some genie character we like and some other characters we like to draw. And I can't inherently ever really complain about an artist drawing what they want to draw versus an artist being forced to dumb down their art to make it have a more broad appeal, because that's really what this would boil down to, is This feels like a game that would have had a lot more broad appeal. They have a little death smog coming up so that you know that falling down there will kill you. And then here you have another girl. Hey snack cakes, what's shaking? You still owe me a brain, you know. Stop it, Roddy Tops. Oh, you just missed my brothers. We're doing a wagon tour, sampling the local cuisine. She's a zombie, by the looks of it. Although she seems like half zombie, half Frankenstein with the staples in her arms. Here, gotta try out one of these. Gasp. That's someone's pet. Put it back where you found it. Come on. Just a scout's taste. Never mind, I'll return this puppy myself. Look, Roddy, I need your help. Have you ever heard of a magic seal? Not ringing any bells, I'll check the web. Ick, what is that thing? It's my chit-chat spider. Zombies use them to communicate across long distances via web vibration. Seriously, you should see our network. It's like worldwide. This is a funny gag. Just send out a message out and another zombie will answer back in no time. None of my pals have heard of a magic seal. Sorry, Chica. Can you locate Risky Boots with that? Yeah, look. She was spotted in Scuttletown today. I was there. That was just this morning. After that, she traveled up the coast, shaking down locals. She's looking for the 3 barons of Sequin Land. Yuck, this thing's full of bugs now. Barons of Sequin Land? Who are they? Thieving bandits who passed themselves off as artifact collectors. They're mostly gathering old magical trinkets and such. Oh gross, now he's got a worm. Artifact collectors. Risky thinks one of them has a magic seal. The Squid Baron, the Ammo Baron, and the Hypno Baron. According to this, the Squid Baron lives here in the forest. If you're thinking about stopping by his place, better be on your toes. So that feels like there's probably going to be 3 bosses, and each boss is maybe going to give you a transformation ability, and then maybe there's a secondary boss after the 3 boss to get the magic seal, or maybe you just get the magic seal directly, depending on how long they want to make this game. Interesting. The thing with this dance, though, at the moment, is all it does is pause time, and then the zombie is dancing too. Can't go any further in that direction. So yeah, that seems like we've now collected another key item. It's a puppy. Its cuteness makes your heart sing. Can't do anything with it. Yeah, we already went this far. That's as far as we can go at the moment. I feel like this is probably a map that is designed specifically because you're going to get transformation abilities, which is going to give you some kind of limited ability to fly. And that's going to expand the experience. Here we have another warp character we can wake up. What's it, yawn? It's morning already? So do I want to warp? Snooze time. So it's just going to ask you if you want to warp. Interesting. I guess I'll just push towards the right. Nope, you can't go any further to the right. Interesting. This is an interesting layout for the lands. They're they're relatively small worlds with lots of jumps forwards and backs. There was a game somewhat like this for the Virtual Boy called Wario, like Wario Land, I believe was its official name, where you would jump to the foreground and background because the Virtual Boy had that ability to jump from foreground to background. And it was a pretty good game, but it definitely suffered, like all Virtual Boy games suffered, by the fact that it was all in red, because they, at the time when they invented the Virtual Boy, did not have the capability of making blue lasers or green lasers. Blarg, no smash me. I feel like there's probably a reason to smash these guys later on, but we can't do it now. Once I get back to the storefront, I think I'll have more than enough gold to purchase quite a few upgrades, which I assume that means we're gonna at some point find a different storefront with some other upgrades, or the storefront's gonna upgrade itself and there will be more items for sale. And you gotta be careful, otherwise you're gonna take more hits than you'd like. These trees look like there's might be some secret doors that open later on. Would you like to save a record of your journey? Yes. And when you save, does it refill your health? No, it doesn't. So that's important to recognize also. Heart holders extend your life. We need to find more of those, clearly. And yeah, you can make quite the journey here, and I guess I understand the map a little bit better now as to how it actually works. I can see that back at the very top of the map there's a secret tunnel under the water, so we'll have to have a swimming transformation or ability. And at the very lower left hand corner there's some kind of secret area that you reach somehow, but at the moment we are just working our way towards the right to see whatever is over there. There's, I guess, the white with pink on top columns are the teleportation spots, which means there is a teleportation spot somewhere around where we started the game. And yep, you are in this nice position. Like, it's a Game Boy Advance game. I'm definitely not hating it, knowing that it's a Game Boy Advance game. I could definitely see a lot of people would be hating it if they didn't know that it was a Game Boy Advance game. There is some slightly deceptive stuff going on here with like the full screen art in the director's cut, but not having the screen stretched. We just have a time here. I could stretch the screen out, I guess, if I wanted to. Let's see. If we went into stretch, and then we hit apply, and then back, and then load back in here. Let's see what that looks like. It seems like what they've done in this case is they've stretched out not the pixels per se, but they've zoomed in the camera a little bit, which maybe that is the better way to play, honestly. Let's see what it looks like in original. Like original, it would look like this, and you can see in that case there is a sharpness to it for a Game Boy Advance screen, which is clearly at a 4:3 ratio more than a 16:9, and a very low resolution ratio there. So you definitely wouldn't want to play it that way. But if you go back to full, like full keeps the ratio the same, and I think keeps everything in the screen. But look at like the green on the tree behind Shantae, and the plants, the fruits on the flower to the right of that point, and the red fruit in the top right corner, and the red fruit in the top left corner. And we'll see where those actually go when you go to stretch. If they move closer to the edge or if they stay in the same place. They don't really move. So it is just a matter of every pixel now is 2 or 3 pixels longer. I kind of want to see what like the full screen would look like at that point. And the menus were always full screen, I think. So it was only the main game where you have the option to change things. So I guess what we'll do is in the next recording we'll try it with stretched and see if we like it, if I like it better that way. And I guess we're gonna go almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour in the episodes. Not a lot has happened, definitely. This definitely feels like an old Game Boy Advance game, and I will definitely say a lot of portable games did have this element in which they were more designed for people who were going to play in 20-minute bursts versus people who were going to play on a PC in very, very long marathon sessions or hour-long sessions even, and Game Boy games and portable games in general just tended not to be particularly the greatest. Where I would hope that as they moved to the further generations of these games and next iterations of the Shantae series, that the game would have a much quicker onboarding process and you could just get to the jumping and the platforming, and the jumping and the platforming would be a little bit more challenging and a little bit faster, because while this controls perfectly fine, it's not really moving quite as fast as a modern game you would expect it to. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.